Bonjour, mes amis! Welcome back to Karl's Kitchen. Now this morning I'm speaking French because we're cooking a very popular favorite breakfast. We'll be making a thin French pancake, also known as a crepe. So today we need some basic ingredients. Right here we have 2 cups of water, we have 2 cups of all-purpose baking flour, we have 4 eggs. I'll be using some Himalayan sea salt, we need about 1 teaspoon. We've got our Ninja Pro System 1100 blender. We have some standard butter. And when it comes to frying pans, you have 2 options. Traditionally, I grew up using a 9-inch cast iron frying pan, which is this one right here. It's really nice, it works well, but with growing boys, those crepes frequently aren't big enough. So lately, I have gone to the jumbo size, Teflon coated frying pan. And in fact, I like to have 2 frying pans going at once so that I can have a continuous flow of crepes coming to the family. In just a minute, we'll get started mixing this all together. So we'll go ahead and put 4 eggs in. We're going to add 2 cups of water. We're going to take our Himalayan sea salt. I've learned from experience that about 20 twists of the salt grinder equals approximately 1 tablespoon. We'll toss that in. Now all we need to do is add the flour. Okay, now we'll put the cover on, get this baby whirling. There we go. Power, start on the slow speed. Now those of you that are more observant might notice that the level in the blender is actually up at 48 ounces, and a minute ago it was down at 32. While we were gone, we went ahead and added 2 more eggs, 1 cup of flour, and 1 more cup of water. Because when I use these large frying pans, I find 48 ounces of crepe batter will make me 8 extra large crepes for the family. So what I've done is I've turned the heat on under the burner, I'm preheating the pan. And what I need to do is add some butter to each pan to make sure that it's not so much to keep things from sticking, it's more a matter of giving some nice butter flavor to the crepe. So one last thing I want to mention before we start cooking is I just made this batter, it's very fresh. And to make something as thin as a crepe stay together, you need to have the elasticity that the gluten in the wheat provides. And the longer that you let the batter sit, the more active the gluten becomes, or the more elastic it gets. So a good strategy is to make this crepe batter about a half hour or hour before you're ready to serve breakfast. Okay, in just a minute I will start cooking, but I'm going to take a quick break and get things set up. Okay, at this point I'm ready to cook. So I've got my frying pan on a pretty high heat. It's about 60 to 70% of maximum. I've spread the butter around using a plastic spatula so I don't scratch my frying pans, and I'm going to go ahead and add the batter. I think you want to add about 1/2 cup of batter per crepe, but I just eyeball it. So here we go. We pour it in, and then using wrist action, we want to move it around the frying pan. If you find your batter is too thick to flow easily, you probably need to add a little bit more water to your batter. If your batter seems too thin, you can always add more flour and just give it a quick whirl in the blender. So as long as you have strong enough wrists, spreading that batter around the frying pan is quite easy. Now stick with me here while this cooks because it'll go quite quickly. You'll notice it's starting to peel away from the frying pan, which means it's almost time to flip. Well, now here you can see my first crepe actually didn't go quite so well. I made it a little bit thick and tried to flip it prematurely and it broke up. Okay, this crepe's starting to curl up on the edges, so it's time to flip it. So I carefully work my spatula underneath, and with a quick flip, turn that beautiful crepe over. It's going to cook much quicker on the other side, so be ready to put it on the plate. I preheated this plate so that the crepes don't cool down while I'm cooking them, and you can just slide it off the pan onto that plate. And there's a crepe ready to go. I'll go ahead and cook a couple more, and we'll show you how to top them momentarily. Let's take a look at our toppings. The classic favorite is maple syrup with some extra butter added to the crepe. My personal favorite is some strawberry jam and cream cheese. It gives it a nice sort of sweet and sour flavor. And my kids especially love a Nutella topping, and if you want to make it a little more natural, you could use Nutella and banana slices. Okay, now for the best part. We're getting ready to top the crepes. So we're going to start with some butter on this one. We'll take some butter off our butter dish. We spread a little bit of butter on the crepe because butter and maple syrup are just a phenomenal combination. We take our maple syrup. We got this locally at the, I think we got this at Shoppers Corner also. And put a drizzle of maple syrup. Now, just for fun, we can move it around on the crepe a little bit. It gets the flavor and a lot more of the surface area. So we spread it out. You don't need a lot because if you put too much on, it's going to run out of the crepe. So you spread it out. Now, the way I was raised to prepare a crepe is you roll it up, burrito style. Now, at our local farmer's market, the crepe vendor folds it up into quarters. But this is the way we've always done it in my family. Then, if you want, you can cut it up with a knife, or you can just take your fork and cut it. And next, we're going to go for a cream cheese and strawberry jam crepe. So, I don't have whipped cream cheese, so I have to be careful not to tear the crepe as I apply dabs of cream cheese. So, you just want to do a nice little row that'll be in the center of that roll when you wrap it up. Next, we're going to take some strawberry jam, and I like to use a rubber spatula to spread the jam. Makes it a little easier to handle, and a little goes a long ways. You really don't want to overpower it with the strawberry flavor because it's pretty sweet, and you really want to get that tangy flavor of the cream cheese. So at this point, we're pretty much set, and I'm going to roll this one a little differently. I'm going to fold it in half over cream cheese, and then just gently roll it up. You can see how delicate this crepe is. It's really a nice, thin crepe. And there we go. That one's ready for diner number 2. Okay, our last topping today will be Nutella, guaranteed to please the younger set. So, again, I'm using my rubber spatula, and this Nutella is a little bit thick, so I got to be careful I don't tear the crepe. But in general, the thinner the layer you can do, the better it will distribute the flavor through that roll. So we're getting close. I'll go ahead and put some on all areas of it. It doesn't have to be perfect coverage. No one will know the difference. Now, if you really want to make it decadent, you can top this with whipped cream, but it can almost be too decadent and a little bit overpowering. So here we go. We're going to roll this one up. There we go. So now we've made a Nutella crepe, a cream cheese and strawberry crepe, and a maple syrup and butter crepe. We're going to go over a couple of pointers on cleaning up the kitchen in just a moment. Okay, before I sit down and eat, I always like to clean up the kitchen. Now, one thing you'll notice is I've filled up my blender with water here because the combination of eggs and flour dried on the blender can be a nightmare to clean. So what I like to do is fill it with water and let it soak while I'm working on the rest of my cleanup. Before I go, though, I want to remind you what we used today. So we started with a ratio of 4 eggs, 2 cups of water, 2 cups of flour, and a teaspoon of salt. We blended it up in our blender. Any blender will work, even though I used a pretty high-powered blender. And if you run into trouble cooking your crepes and they're tearing or coming apart, don't give up. Don't be put off. What usually happens is the first 1 or 2 crepes you cook are very delicate and fragile. And by the time you get to the last crepe, the gluten in the batter has gotten a lot stronger and the crepes will cook beautifully. Best of luck. I hope you have as much fun with these as my family does. See you soon.